You know how when a week before Thanksgiving you're at a bar and meet some random stranger that you end up spending a couple nights with, and the day before Thanksgiving your mom calls and tells you your intellectual aunt and uncle are having Thanksgiving dinner at their house and they want you to attend the dinner, but you don't want to go solo, so you ask what's their name to go with you, and you get your relative's house in the nicer part of town, and your friend has to stand outside and smoke a cigarette before you can go in. And when you go inside, everything is lovely and perfect, and it smells just like Thanksgiving, and everyone is absolutely pleasant and nice and welcoming. And after dinner, your aunt says, "Let's get to know each other more." And as you are all escorted to the sitting room for sharing pecans, your aunt enters the room with one of those boxes you get at Hallmark with a bunch of cards in it full of random questions that are supposed to spark a conversation. Well, that is tonight's Jabber John. We've got 3 gift boxes of questions that we will be drawing at random and trying to build a conversation around. If you have any questions that follow along, feel free to send them in because we will need all the help we can get. And please stay out of my aunt and uncle's bathroom, because if they are missing any pills after the dinner, they are going to blame me, and I don't need to go through all that mess again. This is the first time I've been invited back in 6 years. Dress respectfully and join us for dinner at 7. Bring a bottle of wine or something if you want my uncle to offer you some of his good bourbon and a cigar. Join us. Jabber John, 7 on the dot.
Three little frogs sitting on a log. One of them fell in. One frog said to the other frog, "Well, you better go get her." Two little frogs sitting on a log. One of them fell in. Last little frog, he sat and thought, good thing they can sweat. Jabber John, Jabber John, Jabber John, Jabber John. Three little frogs sitting on a log. One burst into a grin. One frog said to the other frog, "Wonder what's got into him."
Oh, in the car.
Two little frogs sitting on a log. One laughed until he was red. Last little frog, he sat and thought, must have been something I said. Jabber John, Jabber John, Jabber John, Jabber John.
Problem is, the way the camera is for daily practice, you can't just sit there and mess with the settings the same way. Oh my goodness, we are live. Hey everybody, welcome to Jabber John. I'm Nathan Moore.
I'm Kyle Hogg.
Steve Moore.
We are at your service. We got 3 boxes of different questions that people receive for gifts, you know, like conversation starters, trivia / kind of stuff. So that's part of the theme tonight. You can insert your own questions in here and we will field them as best we can. Apparently Dad just got worn out by a whole gaggle of grandchildren for the last few hours that ran him through the ringer. So anything you have that'll perk him up.
It's a good tired.
It's a good tired. Here you go. We always start with an arriving song and end with a leaving song. Here's a new one. We'll see if who gets the reference.
Oh, I like it already.
I think I always will be impossible to find. There are those that love me still, all good friends of mine. When you hear that whippoorwill and the sun's about to rise, let's go sit on the hill and read each other's minds. windowsill, watching the world outside. Life goes in for the kill each and every time. Everybody knows the drill, so everybody's taking their time. Let's go sit on the hill and read each other's minds. Sitting here counting the till, lots of nickels and dimes. The price we pay for the thrill, it should be a crime. I'm giving it all to Goodwill. I want nothing to be mine. Let's go sit on the hill and read each other's minds.
Damn. Man,
I'll take it.
awesome.
Thank you. You get that reference?
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah. What is it?
Telepathy tapes.
Mm-hmm. Go on.
Well, I think we're talking about the ability to communicate without words.
Right, but even more specifically, the hill.
Well, the hill is where the nonverbal autistic children would go in their minds and share each other's thoughts. So
Yeah.
without
All around the world, they say, or
yeah.
at least.
Well, you have to know how to get up the hill.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you sure do.
That's the trick.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's an interesting reference to that whole opens that door up to discussion or whatever if you wanted to do it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's-
It works even for people. I mean, it's a nice image, even if you've never heard of any of that. Let's go sit on the hill and read each other's minds. I just
well,
it sounds like something me and you could do, even if we'd never heard of the telepathy tapes.
well, I think we do it all the time. We just use other forms to supplant it but when you don't have other things, but you know, I think I kid about, for instance, communicating with the cardinal and the rabbits in my yard when they come around. But I do think there's energy being translated, and they know my energy. And I think that's what people feel is each other's energy.
Right.
You're sending out energy, and a lot of times you can disguise it if you have a real powerful cologne. Like, you know, Kyle always wears a lot of smelly stuff. And that disguises it. He's sending out those wonderful things, but then that odor hits you and it overwhelms you. And of course, I do it. He does it with cologne, and I do it with my body.
Natural.
Sad.
It's all natural.
Yeah,
for
that's
you.
it. I'm stopped talking.
It reminds me of your post yesterday or whenever it was about the smelly guitar
Oh, my
player
gosh.
joining.
There you go. I never thought it bothered you that much.
Oh, this guy.
Did you read that post?
Yeah.
So
Hey,
funny.
I thought it was gonna be sick. He stunk so bad. I was gonna leave. And he couldn't stand up. His girlfriend or whatever just held him around the waist the whole time. He played guitar for like 75 minutes.
So did he play really well?
It was funny. They said that he was a fan of Brother JT. He was a musician, obviously, but they never played together. But he was helping him paint, and Brother JT told him he was going to be playing a show. So I guess the guy he was completely out of it. But he showed up and he saw, it was only like 20 of us there, and he saw him stand there and said, hey, there's not even like a stage.
But it
like
wasn't. It sounded like from your story. So I get the story a little bit more context for people just that didn't read your post. Brother JT is the name of the guy,
Right.
and he's a known entity.
Yeah.
Is he still with us?
Yes, he's still around.
And he was doing a show, and so Kyle's in the audience, and 20 people, small place, and all of a sudden there's this guy standing next to him that is wasted and really super stinky. And
I mean,
this-
not even like body odor, like something was wrong with him, like he's dead or something. He stinks.
and this woman's next to him, like holding him up. And the next thing you know, brother JT, who Kyle is there to see play music, invites him on stage with him. And the woman has to go with him and hold him up the whole time. But it sounds like he didn't just sit in for a song. Like he was
No,
up
he
there
did
for
everything.
he was up there for the rest of the show.
Yeah, and Brother JT was having the funnest time because he said the guy like listened to his music, but the guy didn't even. The guy they were painting Brother JT's house that morning, and he had asked this guy to help him. I guess he was like a painter or something. And then he told me he was playing that night, so the guy just showed up. So he said, "Well, you didn't like my music. Why don't you go up here?" And he wasn't exactly playing the songs exactly right, but he played along with it. You know?
Did you get the sense that they'd never played together before?
It didn't even really seem like he knew him that well. But his girlfriend or whoever she was just stood there with her arms around his waist, like just because he was like going back and forth.
So what is in your imagination? In your imagination, what was going through Brother JT's mind? Like, was he thinking, "This is cool"?
He looked messed up too. he looked.
Do you think he was thinking, "All right, well, this guy will take the heat off me," or
he
was he just into the novelty of the
having a really
moment?
good time. He's like a songwriter. It's like not really funny, but like humorous type. You know, not even humorous, just a quirky outlook on life, and a lot of just offbeat, and it's just you don't even know if he's playing what he wants to play half the time. But the guy kept up with him, never said a word, just stood there the whole time. And his girlfriend half the time was just looking down at the ground, just with her arms around him. But he would be like one step this way, then lean back into her and stuff. And the crowd was, it was just like it's a little record store. It wasn't even a stage. They're just standing right there right in front of you. Like everybody's waiting to catch the guy when he comes. But when they first got there, I was like, man, I'm gonna have to. I mean, he stunk. He stunk the whole place up. I thought I was got to leave. So when he went up a little bit further, I was like, ooh, thank goodness.
What a trip! How long ago was that?
Like 7 years ago, maybe.
Would I like Brother
I think you would like him.
JT?
But he puts a lot of stuff out on his own because, like, I never order stuff online. I don't know why, but I've looked for his stuff forever. When he played the show, they didn't have his music
At a record store.
He didn't even bring anything to sell or anything. But so Stephanie tried to go to his own little label, and he wrote her back and said, I don't even have anything in stock. I've got nothing to sell you. So he had some other stuff on some like a bigger labels, Thrill Jockey. So she got me one of those. It was really good.
Do you know if he's on Spotify or anything?
Yeah, but before I got the CD, I would listen to him. I'd look him up on YouTube and stuff and listen to him. He looks sort of like you. That's a funny thing.
Oh yeah. Kindred spirit. So tell us about these boxes of questions you brought.
I think it's one of those things you get, like when you're having a Christmas and you're like, like a company Christmas or something. Everybody's got to bring a gift. And you just end up taking it.
Secret Santa.
Yeah, like somebody else got that from somebody else, and they don't want it, so they just pass it on. And I'm like, oh, I know, I got it.
Oh, those are shaped like little records. All right, that's cool. All right, so Lex is going to try to screen them a little bit on the fly. We got nothing prepared, but he does have all three boxes open. And
he's like working the turntables over there.
I like how the music ones are shaped like little 45 records.
So should we start with music or I think the other one is more life related to food,
Right.
in a way. And then the other one, the other batch, are just like conversation starters.
All right, we're trusting you.
Yeah, well,
All
you
right.
can just tell us which one it comes from. Before we go in, I'll just throw in. I got a new record today. I do order stuff online, and I was going down Facebook the other day, and I clicked on this reel of a guy from the '60s or something singing some blues, Skip James,
Oh yeah.
and within 30 seconds, I ordered a record. I was
Oh,
like, oh, I
great.
just want that. It was the way he played the guitar and what he did with his voice right out of the gate. I was like, all right, let me see if I can get me one of
Who
these.
was
And it showed up today. Skip James.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, me
You'd
neither.
like him.
I don't think he had any hit. He had one sort of famous song, and I'm not sure why it's famous, Killing Floor Blues or something. But I looked at all the song titles and knew it was just him and guitar and his voice, and just wanted that inspiration.
Yeah, Killing Floor Blues. A lot of people would cover that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the one, right?
Have you had a chance to listen to it yet?
I listened to side A, yep, and then came down here and tried to sing like him for a half hour.
He's gonna do that High Sierra. This is Skip James.
Right. What happened to Nathan?
Okay, so this one is from the food stack. Though some of these aren't food related as I scan.
Oh, it's
through
a
them.
food stuff. So happy birthday again! Thank you for last
Oh,
night.
Happy birthday.
We went out to Yelping Dog. Is that what it's called?
Oh yeah, that's amazing.
Gosh, their grilled cheese sandwiches. Come on, new sponsor.
That's what.
They have a triple M.
Everybody that comes to Stanton, they're like, "Let's go eat." I'm like, "Let's go to Yelping Dog. It's grilled cheese." It's like grilled cheese. Like you don't know till you get there how good these things
Right.
are.
I mean, it's the perfect bread, the right
Oh.
abundant amount of butter, the mozzarella meatball on the 3M, the triple M. And then we went just because we wanted to do dinner and a movie, so we really were limited. We wanted to go to the Visualite, so we didn't go to see the movie on purpose. We went to the Visualite on purpose, but the movie was just sort of just luck of the draw. There was a kids movie and then a movie, the 5th of the John Wick series, called Ballerina. It's so funny. I mean, we were all sitting in there, and it was basically like an hour and a half of this badass lady killing like 5,000 people one after another. It was really, I mean, the funniest thing about it was at the end, it said the first credit that came up was written by, and we were like, who couldn't write that? And then she kicks this guy, and then 5 more people come. I mean, it was a steady stream of just of really well choreographed fight scenes. It
Is
was
Keanu
amazing.
Reeves still in it, or is he faded
It's
out?
more like a cameo than he's handing off the baton to the
Okay.
next generation.
Okay.
Ballerina. It's so funny.
Like it was exciting or funny, or was,
I mean, just after a while, you're just sort of like, all right. I guess
there's got to be a new way to do it.
it was pretty classic, though. We definitely made a memory. We'll be joking about that for the rest of our lives, I think.
Grilled cheese in an action movie. That's a great birthday.
Christiana's in here. She says, yes, we did that to our friends.
You guys ready for a question?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
All right. Curated on the fly. This one could be a little. I'm anxious. Some of these I'm just actually curious about from you guys. So I'll put this out there. Whoever wants to answer first can answer, right? Is that what we're doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like trivia, though, is it? Or is it?
No.
No.
Okay.
Mm-mm. So I'd like for you to recall an instance when you have been surprised by the persistence of nature, like a sprout of growth after a devastating frost.
Mm.
Wow.
Surprised by the persistence of nature. I mean, the first thing that came to mind immediately is the ivy growing on our house and through our walls and stuff. And I've always, you see those pictures of English countrysides, whatever, where houses just covered in ivy, and it's like so beautiful and serene. You're just like, and it's a look that I like and it's comforting. But we have it here on our house, and trying to remove it, I am now like horrified by. Actually, if you look right over there, going through, you'll see a branch growing in next to that water heater. Like I removed it all from our wall out front because in a few years it would have brought the whole wall down.
Wow.
And the way it just squeaks through every little hole it can find and just spreads. Now it just, when I think of that ivy, I think of like a cancer or something. I get horrific visions of just how it spreads, how it attaches with these little arms that like are like cemented to it. Like
Right.
I killed one at the root and it died on the side of the house. And then when I try to remove it, you still see all of its little fingers are just like
dried
encrusted and just impossible to get off. So that's the first thing that came to mind when I heard that question.
What I thought of is my yard has 2 sinkholes that you can like actually fall into, and every year, but there's grass and everything in them. So every year I just get a bag of dirt and I pour it in there, and every year the grass by like midsummer's come right back through like that much dirt. And I was like, man, why didn't I kill that grass? I don't want to kill the grass. First time I did it, I was like,
Oh, you don't even plant new seed?
no, the first time I did it, I just wanted to fill it up, and I thought I'll go buy some grass seed later once the thing's grown. But then I was go out there in the summer and find the grass would just come right back.
Does it continue to sink?
It does. I don't know. Well, it's getting better and better and better. I should buy a whole bunch of dirt, but I just get 2 bags, one for the front and one for the back. And so right now, I basically don't disappear when I walk around in those holes anymore. But every year, I don't know if you probably didn't even notice it today, the grass on the outside is coming in. I think it comes out from the outside and goes to the middle. Go grass.
Go grass. It's the first thing you thought of, Dave.
I think I'll go with the Grand Canyon.
The Grand Canyon.
Yeah.
The creation of it?
Yeah.
Or that it still
Persistence
exists?
of nature.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean,
Think about how long it
carve.
took just to think, and not just the Grand Canyon, but I saw a picture of a movie or something with the Canyonlands, and just looking at out west on those mountains, like the mountains around here have risen and fallen several times, but those Rockies are just straight up, and they've been eaten away just for 1 millennia or whatever. But
how does a thing like that work? How does the Grand Canyon? I mean, did it start as like a river going across a flat land, and over thousands of years, like carved it all the way down?
What you're talking about is uplift. The land is uplifting as the river stays in that one area and cuts it through.
That explains a lot, and I have more questions now. But that
Just like the mountains around here, you see the striations in the strata. So what you're talking about is an ocean floor that got compressed and pushed up. Out west, you have fault lines, where in other words, that's the Rocky Mountains and that's the Great Plains.
Wow.
But
Wow.
then the river goes down and carves out the canyon.
That makes a lot more sense than a river carving down like
Right. It can only go so far down, then it's too far
that.
down.
Yeah, like it would have to come back up, or like
Yeah. That's the
fascinating.
difference. There you go.
All right, you vote.
That was great.
You vote for points, 1, 2, or 3. We see.
That's very fun. We can make this into a game.
I went a little grandiose to get
I
them
know,
points.
good grief.
I'm sorry, I didn't know.
He comes out with a couple of quick.
I did not know we were keeping score.
Me and Nathan
I
are throwing
swear
some
I did.
jabs. You come out, boom! Oh.
No, I did not. I am not guilty. I didn't even know we were playing a game.
No, we're not playing a game. You win. You've already won. So what can we do? Game's over. We've already
You are the
won.
worst sport.
Don't make me. Don't make me take my mic off. And
I would
storm out of
never
here.
even play poker with you. You'd probably throw a beer can against the
You ever play
wall.
poker?
No, I don't know how to play anything like that. I can't focus for very long.
You
Wait a
can't
minute.
focus for
You're a
very long.
man. How can a man say I don't play poker? I'm sorry. That's weird. You never been in jail? You got to learn how to play poker.
I was shooting dice in jail.
Yeah, now, there you go. We can talk about that.
I was flipping coins.
Yeah, marbles.
Marbles.
I bet you played a mean game of marbles.
Did you do marbles? Did you play marbles when you were a kid?
I did play marbles, but I don't know if we didn't really know what we were doing, but we tried. You know, I think my dad showed us. We drew a circle and
It's fun. Yeah.
learned that.
My main marble game was with pencils and baseball cards.
Wait, how do you do that?
You roll the marble and you hit it with a pencil, and you have the players out in the field, and you play with another friend, and you learn where not to hit the ball.
Well, that's
with a
fun.
marble.
Oh, so it hits a card.
If it hits a card, you're out.
Oh,
Yeah,
Oh wow.
Yeah, we
Did
played-
were the cards laying down flat?
yeah. So
Wow.
if the marble rolls over it, so yeah, that
That's fun.
would kill a couple hours a day when
Yeah,
it's
that's
summertime.
fun.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
We ready for another question?
Oh yeah.
yeah.
One.
This one will start with a quote from Francis Moore Lapp. He was born in
Granddaddy Francis.
He was born in 1944, and he's still alive.
Oh wow.
And he's quoted as saying, "The act of putting into your mouth what the earth has grown is perhaps your most direct interaction with the earth." Could agree with that to an extent. Having said that, what food directly reminds you of a place or environment?
Oh.
Oh wow.
Can't say that one.
The old farmer's daughter.
You
Oh,
gotta drill down over here. We can't just let that
the
go.
car broke down on the way to the.
I have to say it now.
I was on a sales trip and the car broke down. The farmer's daughter came out and said, "Hey."
Guess what I've got in the kitchen?
I guess the first thing I thought was the blackberries out at Trinity Point.
That's a good one.
We've planned.
What
some-
exactly was the question? I forgot how it was phrased.
The question was, what food directly reminds you of a place or environment?
A place
Or environment.
or an environment.
I could have a lot of answers for this.
Oh,
Also,
boy.
green chilies, Santa Fe, New Mexico.
Uh-huh.
You know, every year there's seasons or whatever when the green chilies come in, and it's a huge part of the cuisine and everything out there. But they roast them in these giant metal bins that are like grates or little holes in the metal, and it's over a big fire, and you turn it like this, and the chilies are in there. But you can just, like, they're doing it outside of grocery stores and stuff, and that time of year, you can just smell it from miles away. It's just
Oh,
like,
man.
oh, yes.
Then they would like sell them to you, a couple of them.
Then you buy them. You usually buy like big bags, and people would freeze them and use them for the rest of the year.
Oh man.
But that time of harvest, the whole area is just filled with the smell of roasting green chilies. Nothing like it.
Man. Gosh, mine is not that exciting. Mine, God, I never thought about that. I guess when I was growing up, we had an apple tree in the backyard, and my grandmother would come over and we'd pick all the apples, and she'd take them home and make applesauce. And I remember just going over to her house. We'd drive over there in her old-timey kitchen and get that mason jar, whatever those jars are called, of homemade applesauce.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good memory.
What color was it?
Like the most unappealing, bland-looking color, but it tastes so good.
Did you eat it cold or warm or?
I like, well, different parts of my family. I love it cold. My dad liked it sitting on the counter warm.
I recently discovered some Mott's apple. It's not apple butter, but
Applesauce.
applesauce at the Food Line. It was chunky, and I've eaten 2 of them, and I'm getting 1 a week. Just put them in the refrigerator, and you take a spoon, and then you leave, and then you come back, and you go open the refrigerator again and do it again.
Never gets old. It's just
I've
good
done
every
it,
time.
Yeah.
I learned something from you, going with you to the grocery store last week or whenever that was, that you bought apple butter off the shelf, and I always thought you had to get that from Nana or from a church somewhere. I didn't even know you could buy it in the store.
It's
But it's
good.
one of my favorite things in life, and I've been missing it for a few years now.
Recently got into that apple butter just that way, but that's one of my favorites too.
Yeah, I'd love it.
But
How
it's
do you
just
eat
as-
it? Just put it on bread, or?
I just toast some bread. That's one of my go-tos. I'll toast the bread and put one with apple butter and one with peanut butter.
And just
And
alternate bites? Or?
that's a full meal, alternate bites. Yeah,
Y'all making me hungry.
yeah. That's better than putting them together because you get the different taste. But yeah, that's still one of my favorites. That and grape jelly. You know, here's a weird thing: is that I've experienced. I can experience this from the Food Line, but that grape jelly, and I don't know the brand, Welch's probably, but they have that squeeze thing, and it works perfectly. You just plop it, and it goes bloop, and it's perfect. And you take mayonnaise and try to do that,
some of those
it'll drive you crazy.
Yeah,
Don't ever buy that mayonnaise like that. Just get a jar and take a spoon and throw it on there. That's my tip of
Yeah,
the
there's
day.
been some fails with that new way of packaging stuff.
Those,
I'm surprised the
but
jelly
I
works.
don't understand why the jelly works perfect and the mayonnaise doesn't work at all.
Have you seen the ones now where they have peanut butter and jelly in one thing?
I've tried that one time. but
Yeah,
yeah,
just
that's
once.
yeah. You don't know me. You can't fix my peanut butter and my jelly at the same time. We don't know each other that well.
So what's your food that takes you to a place?
Oh, I was having trouble thinking of one. I went all the way back to Corn on the Cob out of Mrs. Phillippe's garden.
Oh wow, Mrs. Philippi, who's that?
Yeah, that was my neighbor up in Hillcrest.
Oh wow.
And they had a big old garden, and we didn't have much of a garden, but they had the succulent, beautiful yellow corn, and I used to sneak over there and grab a couple of
Town corn. As a kid, would you eat it raw?
Oh,
Yeah, but that wasn't. What I got mainly was their tomatoes. Oh my God, I could have been shot for. I was like a little raccoon. I'd just sit down in there and eat a little tomato. Hope nobody was watching.
Didn't
Now-
Granddad have a big old garden? You're going over
Back
to the neighbors
later, but
Oh.
not back up in Hillcrest. It's too rocky up there. And well, when he was retired, he was a good gardener.
Mm-hmm.
But until then, he worked too hard to worry about it. And
Well,
Mom
his-
did a flower garden, but we didn't. The ground wasn't that good. We just didn't have time to do a food. But the
After
Philippines
he
had a whole
retired,
lot.
he had a garden. I feel like after he
Oh,
retired,
that one he had at Appleberry Hill. was
Appleberry Hill was crazy. but
beautiful.
I feel like I have some memories of Hillcrest gardens. I could be wrong about
I
that.
don't know.
But boy, his Appleberry Hill
He grew
gardens were-
things, but he didn't have a big garden per se.
their operation was just insane. I mean, like 3 or 4 huge gardens, the whole basement full of just Nana would he would grow it, and Nana would can it.
yeah.
Yeah,
Very, very inspiring.
took all that for granted.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing about me growing up that I took for granted was that my grandmother lived with us my whole childhood.
Mama.
So I had mama and mom. So I had two mothers, and they were housewives. And I was just spoiled rotten, as you can tell. This is what you get when you're spoiled little boy rotten.
Classic. Margie says, barbecues bring people together. Actually, the last time I was in Virginia, we had a barbecue, and Mr. Moore came to the barbecue.
Oh,
That's right.
Kethra says, homemade ice cream at my grandparents' house.
yeah, yeah.
Mom used to make the homemade ice cream in my childhood memories.
Saul chimed in to say grilled cheese at Yelping Dog.
Yeah, that's right.
And then kicking 5,000 people's ass.
You need fuel.
With heels on. We ready for a music question?
Let's go.
Yeah.
All right.
It's fun.
It's an interesting spin on a music question, but it could go beyond music. I hope it does. What do you think about the expression guilty pleasure? Do you care what other people think about your taste in music?
Do you care what other people think about your taste
Wait a
in
minute.
music?
What was the guilty pleasure?
So, what do you think about the expression guilty pleasure? So, like, you know, I would tell you that, like, in this setting, that my guilty pleasure is listening to Taylor Swift. But only the 1989 album because my kids got me into it. So it's just kind of but that's a guilty pleasure. I would never be like, oh man, I'm a Swiftie and oh what, you don't listen to Taylor Swift? You know what I mean? It's more like, it's a guilty pleasure.
Trying to think musically what guilty pleasures I have.
Well, what is a guilty pleasure? Define that.
Yeah. What do you? Yeah.
I guess it.
Start
I guess there's different depths of it, huh?
Right. Oh, I think so.
Should we stay in the shallow end of this pool, or
Yeah.
anybody want to go dive in the deep end? with
Are
me?
we talking about people that we like to listen to that we maybe shouldn't, or what?
Like, yeah, you don't, people probably don't know that you listen to it.
Yeah, but well, go ahead.
Well, that's a good question for me because my dad passed away a couple years ago. My mom gave me all of his CDs. And like a normal person would just be like, thank you, and just take them to the thrift store or something. I decided I have to listen to every single one of them. And lots of bands that I just didn't like, I would put it on. I would just be like, God, I gotta listen. Why can't I just throw this one in the ticket? And I put it on, and I'd be sitting there, and like somebody would come over. I remember a couple of times, like Daryl would come over, we'd be smoking weed. And like, what are you listening to? And he's like, this is pretty good. And I was like, isn't it? It's whatever. He's like, no effing way. I was like, so then I would just keep that one out. So it's like, but I would never tell anybody that. Like, I actually listened to this. Got it. I'm not even gonna say who this one is. This is so guilty. I can't even say who it was.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I
Come
can't.
on.
I
You're
can't.
you're in
can't.
good company.
No, I can't.
We're
even-
defining
I
guilty
can't-
pleasure
I
right
can't.
now.
I can't even say it.
You can't even say
I
it.
actually liked it, but I gave it away because I couldn't have it in the house. I have to get rid of it. It was a Michael Bolton covers album.
Oh my! Michael Bolton covers out. He doesn't write anything, does he?
Well, he was doing like all.
Oh, he's doing covers.
Yeah, he was doing like old like Van Morrison songs and like songs that I knew. And I was like, God, why is this sounding good? And I was actually cleaning the house. So sometimes I'd go upstairs so I couldn't hear it. I'd clean stuff upstairs. Like, I don't want to like this album. And I'd come down and go into the kitchen like, oh, God, it still sounds good. But then when it was done, I was like, no, I heard it. Get rid of it. But I have all kinds of guilty pleasures, music-wise.
A lot of that seems like it would be like what company you're in.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you know, I can't think of anything that is a guilty pleasure musically in my own, in a vacuum, just all to myself.
yeah.
But I could see like not admitting I like
Right.
stuff in certain company if they're like super cool or something. And I want to seem cool. I'm not going to talk about Barry Manilow or anything. Like,
I remember one night some people were over, we were just partying, whatever, and I put on a Mariah Carey, my dad's Mariah Carey CDs. And like people just started singing. I was like, do we all know this music? And Mariah Carey, my dad was not guilty about that at all. When my dad liked music, liked to buy music. We came to visit in New Jersey one time, and they have this record store called Princeton Record Exchange. Just oh my gosh, you just want to back like a U-Haul up to it and just fill it up with stuff. So he got, for some reason, he bought all these Mariah Carey CDs. And so when we were leaving, he was paying for it, and they were playing some female singer, you know, at the record store. My dad goes, "Is this Mariah Carey?" And the guy said, "No, sir, not every female singer's Mariah Carey." I remember just busting out laughing. My dad was just like,
Why did she stop making music?
"Oh my God!" Well, she's got her Christmas. Every Christmas she comes back full speed.
I feel like she just put out a new album.
Oh, she did?
Or she's going to. I feel like I've read something recently about her.
I've been going through a big Adele kick.
Oh, yeah, I love
I
it.
never really, I always peripherally knew about her, but I never really drilled down or whatever. And just recently, I was started watching some biography on the streaming services about her, and I was like, oh, what a cool thing. I didn't even realize she was such a writer. I just thought of her as a singer, but to realize that she wrote most of the songs that. And I just really got into it, so I've been listening to her pretty regularly. She's been a big inspiration for me for my own stuff, performing wise. I have this little sort of internal mantra of how would Adele do it when I'm singing my songs. Voice forward, the music's more of just a platform for the voice to sit on. It's just fun inspiration. And I'm completely convinced I have at least an album's worth of songs that she would hit out of the park. If she's ever, Adele, if you ever want to mix it up a little bit and put out a record of someone else's songs, I think that me and you could really make some magic in that regard.
Adele does more. We got a name for it already.
There it is. There it is. But yeah, I got some songs I feel like would just suit her so nicely, and
I think that'd be wonderful.
That would be wild.
Guilty pleasures.
Yeah, now you got me thinking about Eva Longoria again. Daggone it. Eva.
If you're ever looking to mix it up.
I'm going to go ahead and tell you. If you ever want to come over and cook a Spanish meal for me, I would love to have you visit, and we could talk about everything. And I would enjoy sharing a meal with you. And I'll buy the food if you.
He'll
cook.
steal the corn out of the neighbor's yard.
Well, you know what I was thinking? I remember like a month ago we had a discussion. Have you ever stolen anything? And you and me were just laying out all of our stuff. You, your son, everybody. He's sitting here. I don't think I've ever stolen
I would
anything."
never.
No,
Well, I
never.
would never.
I had morals, and now he's over here as a 7-year-old.
I was a chipmunk getting food for the winter. That's all it was. I was an
Stuffing
animal.
his cheeks,
I
hiding
wasn't taking
nuts.
anything from anybody. I was finding my food for my family.
Steve,
You don't call a chipmunk who's out there eating my sunflower seeds or a thief. Call him a lot of things, but he's not a thief. He's just trying to live
As
his
God
life.
intended.
Exactly. That corn had to be eaten, and I was
was
the
about to-
boy to do it.
It was about to go bad, right?
Oh yeah, it would-
One more day and it would have been rotten.
no, that was a guilty pleasure. I'm through.
That's all you got?
For
No
what?
no musical guilty pleasures?
Oh, I didn't think about. I had something there for got lost in his story.
I remember watching you DJ a party once, and you gave this little speech before playing some music, and you're like, you know, when people think about the music of the 60s, they think of all this like revolutionaries and all this flower power and hippies and stuff like that, but most of us were listening to this or whatever, and like just like it was your little setup for
Well, there's a guilty pleasure
very
there because I
distant
still
memory.
will ask Alexa to play some of those old 50s songs, and the lyrics are just embarrassing. It's horrible that some of the things that they were saying. But, you know, if you study the lyrics of a lot of songs, like I was listening to Teach Your Children. Wow. there's a lyric in there that
That's powerful, though.
it's powerful. And I loved that song, but I never knew that lyric was there. And there's so many songs that you sing that you never really listen to the lyrics. And back in the 60s, they were making stuff rhyme, and it was just dumb as baloney.
Right.
I mean, it was horrible.
Does not work on paper.
Yeah.
You get it
yeah.
out of that musical context,
you
the
read
bopping
it-
melody or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. And then somehow they did it with their voice. They made the word fit. But if you read it on a piece of paper, that was gibberish.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't know what they were doing. They made $1 million.
Songs are funny like that because you will make up something to music that doesn't work on paper. And a lot of times I would look, especially when I was younger, it was really bad. I would read something back that I wrote and I'd be like, what are you even talking about? Like, this doesn't even make any actual sense.
Right.
Yeah, if you don't
But it
put
just
the
sounds right, and the rhythm of the consonants or whatever was right. I feel like what's that? Some people call me Maurice because I speak with the pompatus of love. You know what song I'm talking
Pompatus
about?
of love.
Steve
Pompatus.
Miller.
That's not a word. He admitted later, like, oh yeah, I just made that word up. It just sounded right. You look it up. I speak. What's the word? Pompatus.
Pompatus.
He was
speak-
he was a space cowboy. That's why.
That's right.
Well, let's do another question.
Next one.
Lex is falling asleep.
How about this? Is maybe an easier music question. Who took you to your first concert? And did you like it?
Ooh.
Well, I guess I got several answers for that.
All right.
But Statler Brothers 4th of July celebration is probably my first experiences and that was probably either Mom or you. But the Statler Brothers are from here in Stanton, for those that don't know, hometown heroes. And I'm just so grateful for that, because what great dream fodder that was as a young child, not only to have your love of music affecting me, but to go down to Gypsy Hill Park. Every 4th of July, they put on these shows. And Stanton is population 25,000, and for that one day, there was over 100,000 people in this town that all came from all over to see the Statler Brothers. And they always did the 4th of July parade, and they always had a special guest star who was usually
free
like
show.
it was a free show in the park, and they usually had somebody in the country music biz that was hot at the moment. Like, I remember Jerry Reed or whatever, who was just in Smokey and the Bandit or whatever, was now like in Gypsy Hill Park on the back of a float waving to me. And just like, oh my God, and going down there. And I just remember like my most visceral memory is the bass affecting my body. The music was so loud, and it was just like, it was like, oh, I don't know. It was the whole thing.
They had Johnny Cash there.
They had Johnny Cash. Yeah.
You don't get any bigger than that.
Mm-hmm.
So they had
It was
some-
amazing.
Really amazing.
I remember it was a free concert. It was in the Stanton Braves baseball field, and it was all closed off. And I remember that like 6 o'clock or something, they would open the gates, and my neighbors were always down there at like 5 o'clock with their lawn chairs, and they would just
Run.
dart across, to get your chairs tied up together to save your seat.
The dash.
Yeah.
So exciting. Big. The whole parking lot was a giant carnival with
Yeah.
all kinds of games and cotton candy.
Remember,
What
he told us when he was a kid, where did you go? To the strip club at the tent at the circus. Remember he was telling us that story one time in Stanton?
What?
You don't remember that?
I remember the strip club. What are you talking? I remember they going to the fair. I don't remember telling you a story about it.
Oh, yes.
Talking about me going. How
could
did
go-
they?
you
How
could
did
go
we
into
get
a-
from
There
the
were
Statler-
adult tents.
You could go into a tent. I guess it wasn't a strip club. Maybe you saw some leg or
It
something.
was burlesque.
Oh, yeah.
It's the old
But it was in the
burlesque.
Stanton's parking lot.
Was that Expo or is this?
No, these are these little fairs that came through over at the fairgrounds.
Oh wow.
That's why they call it the fairgrounds. But there's no, where the parking lot is now, the football field wasn't there. We played football on the baseball field.
Oh, wow.
And so all that was where they would have fairs and circuses. And they had, of course, they had the horse stables there and everything. It was a whole different world.
And they
there.
actually had burlesque?
Well, they were just little peep shows, strip joints.
Can you imagine?
Well, they didn't have that when I was growing up.
Yeah, I mean,
They got rid of that.
they and they didn't have a. I guess they didn't have a requirement in terms of age, because I got in there.
I'll give you 8 years of corn if you let me in.
Well, that wasn't nice.
But then,
But, you know, that was not really always a pleasant experience. Because
When they kidnapped you and made you dance. Get that kid, he shouldn't be in here.
they had the hot trains to get back home.
here, put these tassels on.
Hey, get out there and shake it for all you
You
got.
can do it, son. I did the best I could, Dad.
Son, when you came out dancing like that, I didn't know what to do.
I've never been so proud.
Do you remember taking me to George Thorogood?
Not very much.
I feel like that was one of the first, like, we drove to Charlottesville and went and saw George Thorogood.
Wow.
Bad. Bad to the bone.
Well, that's funny.
Yeah, it was classic.
Mine was at Virginia Beach, and I was visiting my sister. Well, I couldn't have been. I was that young. Who was I visiting? I guess Vicky had just got married.
Oh, wow.
So I was young. I was like 13, 12, and I'd go on record saying I don't like concerts. I don't like loud music, and I don't like crowds of people, and I don't like waiting in line. There's not really much I like about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't go to concerts normally. But I went and saw in probably the 64. It was the big hit was "A World Without Love" by anybody I know.
Oh, man.
Nobody know that. Peter and Gordon.
Peter and Gordon.
British group, mop tops, and they were
Glasses like
part of the
this.
British wave of Beatles, and so I liked all those British groups. So I loved "World Without Love" was my favorite song, and they were showing down at the amphitheater in Virginia Beach.
Did your sister take you? Did your sister take you to it?
You know, thinking back on it, what it was my family was down to Virginia Beach for the week to go to the beach. It was before Vicky moved there. It has to be.
Mm-hmm.
But Vicky was down there with us, but nobody went with me. They dropped me off. We got tickets, and they dropped me off. And we didn't have a phone or anything. And I was like 15 years old. I was scared, because I just wasn't with anybody. But then I got in there and I listened to them, and it was they were very good and for that time and for what I was wanting. And I made it in and out. I was real happy about all of it. But I'll know, I was a little scared being by myself like that. But that was my first concert.
Wow. Do you remember how close you got?
Oh no, I wasn't that close, but I was within sound-wise. I was about medium back, from the audience, and the sound was fine. I couldn't see them that close. I wasn't that close for visually, but
It's so astounding when you realize how many of the huge bands, especially of like the 60s and 70s, were like defining the era, you think, but they were all British.
a lot of
Like you start thinking of American bands from that same time, and it's a very small list. You're like, all right, Jimi Hendrix, Grateful Dead, Jefferson Airplane, but Beatles, Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd.
Well, that was what I was saying earlier about how the Beach Boys came in and changed it again.
Mm-hmm.
Because they brought a totally different sound than it wasn't an American sound and it wasn't a British sound. It was the Beach Boys sound.
Yeah.
So
Rest
that-
in peace, Brian Wilson. Thank you so much for all the music. What an amazing guy that was.
Don't worry, baby. Beautiful song.
He was so interesting because he was obviously sort of a genius, maybe on the spectrum in some way, and tried to tour with the band in the early days and ended up didn't like crowds, didn't like loud music or whatever, and so he ended up just staying home and working on the next record while the Beach Boys were out there touring.
Well, everything you're saying, let's just say telepathy tapes, good vibrations.
Yeah,
He was ahead of his time.
100%.
Think about it. Good That's all it's talking about.
There you go. He was in tune with that. In some
And if
level.
you do one more corn stealing joke, I'm going to vibrate the shit out of you.
I'm getting the corn mash feelings over here.
John Dodson wants to know, is God Only Knows a perfect song?
Ooh, there you go.
God only knows
Oh my
be
goodness.
without you.
I think John's right on it.
I mean, not only did Brian Wilson write all those songs, but he produced them. Like the sounds of those records were all just springing out of his imagination, and that's just another level of knowing how to make records is a whole nother level. Very few musicians produce their own stuff. It was
The other part of that, I was telling Kyle on the way over, talking about the sounds. I was watching some of the video, and all of those high-pitched sounds that make it unique are him. So it was not. He was performing too.
yeah, 100%.
And also how Brian, we're talking about how he was able to do the telepathy tapes. Also, our first two questions were about vegetables. They had that great song, My Favorite Vegetable.
Vegetables. Yeah, it's true. Hey, Corey, welcome to the show. Dustin, good to see you. So, first concert, Kyle?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I probably did go to like the Statler Brothers and that type of stuff, but never like in a club or anything. The very first one I remember going to was with Mark Jones. We had his red VW. We went to Charlottesville to see Love Tractor, which was like a popular like REM type band back there. And that moron, I think we had just turned. We were old enough to get in, and he didn't have his license for someone. He drove up there, didn't have his license. They wouldn't let him in. And I think he could tell we were getting ready to cry or something. The guy was like, I'm going to tie this thing on your arm so they'll know. And he had like this band that he just tied real tight around his arm. And he had to wear it the whole time to let him know he wasn't old enough. Or he actually was old enough. He didn't have proof that he was. That was a great show.
What was the show?
A band called Love Tractor. They did a cover of Party Train. And I remember I was just so carried away jumping up on stage, and he pushed me down off the stage, and then he just held the mic out to me, let me sing Party Train with him.
Oh, wow.
I was like, man, there's nothing better than rock
How
and
old were
roll.
you?
We must have just turned 18, I guess.
Wow.
We were old enough to get in. No, the drinking age back then was 18. I remember I went to the Stanton Mall and bought a new shirt. Probably looked like the biggest dork in the whole place. There was a new wave looking little teeny collar, and it was pink with the rolled up sleeves and had little records 45s all over it.
You felt so cool.
The guy was like, this poor kid's not gonna cause any trouble. Let him in. Come on in, buddy Howell, you'll be all right.
If it wasn't for the Statler Brothers, I think my first memory of a concert would be my mom and I were at King's Dominion, and there was a concert going on inside King's Dominion. It was Sister Sledge, but we didn't buy tickets to it, but it was outdoors, and there was just a big wall around it. And Mom, like, boosted me up onto the wall, and I sat there and got to see Sister Sledge singing, "We are family, baby. I got all my sisters in me." That's visceral.
I think maybe the first actual rock and roll show I saw was the Findels played our graduation party. So I would have been like
Oh, wow.
16 or 17.
Oh, that's
And
cool.
once again, I lost my mind there because the next day, like the stamp paper had an article about it, and they were talking about me dancing. There was a thing,
Oh,
about,
really?
and one person was so carried away, it looked like he was having seizures on the floor.
He was wearing this really hip pink shirt with 45 records all over it.
I would love to see the video.
Yeah, me too. I'd give anything for
I got
that.
I got the newspaper clipping at home.
Oh, you do?
Somewhere. Yeah.
Wow, what year was that? What would that have been?
83.
83. This band is still. I think this band has a gig in Stanton next weekend somewhere.
Amazing.
Still going
Still-
strong. The
still
Fendels,
great.
Fendels
Sounding
are
great.
they're better than ever.
better than ever.
Really.
It's an amazing thing.
Yeah.
They really are.
All right.
I've probably seen them over 100 times. Every time I go see them, I still love them. And songs never get old. They always have something new, a new way of doing something that you haven't heard before.
Well, he was playing the other night. I was able to get there, and he was playing some of his new stuff, and it was really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
And I love, of course, his old stuff, but he's continued to produce. It's amazing.
Yeah, it really is.
I'm proud of him.
And they're so fun too, because for years now they have this great logo that's just like a shark fin above a little wave. It's really iconic, but they are pretty famous for sneaking these You will not believe all the places you'll find these stickers. Like every time we turn around, even in neighboring cities or whatever, you're like, well, there's a Fendel sticker. Every stop sign, every bathroom stall, and just they've really done a funny thing with those fins all over the place.
My niece lives in Richmond, and she was so excited. Her kid's first day of school, first grade, they took him. And they met his teacher and stuff. And when the teacher was leaving, they noticed she got in a car with the Fendel sticker on. It's like, yes.
All right, what you got for us?
Well, the well's running dry over here, I got to admit.
Why?
But it's just
Got
not.
3 boxes.
They're not
Are
as
you-
interesting as you might assume. I'm a little shocked myself. We're done with this box. This is the only one that came out of the clear box.
What?
I looked at all of them, and maybe I'm being too picky, but trust me, when
I like discerning taste.
We should do one blind draw out of each
I
box.
felt like this was the best one in there, honestly, and it says, "Have you ever pretended you were sick to get out of something?" See, that's not even that great. It's not even that great.
I definitely have, but have no particular memories of that. No specifics.
Yeah.
I feel like I've definitely done that. It's been a long time.
I did it quite often when I was young, in elementary school.
It's a younger move.
Yeah, well, when you get older, you don't have to convince anybody.
You actually are sick.
Well, if you call hungover sick, I guarantee you, I wasn't feeling good. But yeah, I did that quite often when I was young. And I was honest to myself and just said, there's different types of illness, and I feel mentally ill today, and I just should not be around other young people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
There's a term for that now.
That was a good conscience move on my part. But then I had to convince my mom that I was physically sick, and I was able to do that because she believed me.
Right, that's when some acting comes in. That's the funny part. I feel like I've definitely pretended to be sick on the phone, which is such a funny thing.
Yeah.
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 And I mean,
Yeah,
You ain't-
this is Skip James. Nathan's not gonna be able to make it to work today.
Now, right there, I had a visceral gut feeling, and that's calling Charlie Kurtz.
oh wow, you had to talk to the principal directly.
I had to call Charlie Kurtz and ask him to be off because I was sick. And that's a hard-ass thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to be really sick.
I can't believe you had to talk to him
I
directly.
mean, I felt bad when I was really sick and had to call him.
Right.
So imagine if I was just wanting to get off.
Right.
Nah.
Wait a minute. So somebody else, like the receptionist, couldn't approve it. You had to talk to the.
I personally had to call Charlie. I think all the teachers did it early on.
Yeah, that's old
I
school.
think later on, I think he didn't take all the calls. But remember when I first started working there, I had to call him up, and you had to call before 6:30, or I can't get a substitute.
Right.
And so
They just
so
be
you got to
untethered
call.
kids.
Do you want to
just-
wake Charlie Kurtz up? Now, people that don't know, Charlie was a great leader of men, but he was a Buena Vista football military type guy, and I was what I was.
tight ship.
So there was a cultural war
corned
going
beef.
on that continues to this day. But yeah, but to call him up and ask him, because then there was not anything that was reciprocal. There was never any chance where he'd
Right.
call me up and ask if he could have a donut or something. But I had to call him up and ask to be off because I was throwing up. Yeah.
I feel like at least once I put a thermometer up to a light bulb to fool mom into I had a fever.
I'm sure you did.
Man.
Then if that's the worst you did, that's all right. We have to forgive ourselves in this life for things like that.
I think the only time I was a kid. I never faked sick. But actually, one of our viewers, Margie, one time she needed to go used car shopping, and she used to work with me. So I called work and I said I faked it. I can't go to work. But to get to where she lived, I had to drive by work. And when I drove it, my managers at the time drove by me right near work. And I was
Oh,
going to
man.
her house. Ouch. Yeah, that was not cool.
Did you get busted?
She never said it. I mean, she was really friendly to me. I don't know if she saw me and did.
You're probably just going to get some Robitussin or something.
But it was like half an hour from where I lived, though. So because she lived like I lived half an hour to work, and she lived like 10 minutes. So it was like a 40-minute drive, maybe. So I was like, God, it's not. Why my dumbass didn't think another way around it besides not going by work? I don't know. I'm sure there was a road I could have gone.
It's funny. I think every time I was actually sick, I would have been able to talk fine on the phone.
Oh, yeah.
But when you're pretending to be sick, you always,
Sounds good.
You're so exhausted.
yeah, just like, oh.
The phone just laying on the mattress beside you. I can't even hold it up to my head. Oh, I'll probably be dead. If you don't hear from me, I die. My mom was one of those people too. If you told her you were sick, you know what'll make you feel better? Get up and do something. You'll feel much better once you get moving. Come on, let's go. She'd get y'all going. Hey, come on, take Alka-Seltzer. No matter what your problem was, that she'd give you an Alka. We took no medicine. I never had. When I got married, my wife's like, "You never had an aspirin? You never had anything?" I said, "No. Everything we ever had was an Alka-Seltzer. My mom would just give you an Alka-Seltzer, whatever.
No matter what.
No matter what. Oh,
Broken
God.
leg.
I had the flu and Alka-Seltzer. Mom, this is doing nothing. Just drink it. It'll do something. But she was always the one to get you in the ribs. Come on, you don't feel that bad. You just, it's just in your brain. Get up. Come
Elizabeth
on.
says, I did it when I worked at Starbucks so I could stay at High Sierra for one more day.
Oh, that's a good one.
Good way.
Was that in 2008? All right, so we all seem pretty honest about that. That's good.
What do you mean? I'm pretty honest about everything, I think.
I just this doesn't really make any difference. But when you had to call in sick, you had to call the school. Or you had to call Mr. Kurtz directly.
I had to call his personal number
At home.
at home.
Right.
I had to wake him up,
Wow.
and he let me know that I was waking him up.
Mm.
I mean, it was all psychological.
That works.
I bet his attendance was unbelievable
Mm-hmm.
because nobody
That's
wanted
the whole thing.
Because if everybody was doing that, But now that I think about it, I don't remember anybody ever missing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're always there.
Well, it's probably true because the first couple of times you taught me, when I was in junior high, and you were always a substitute. Like 3 or 4 times you were a substitute. So I guess they were their principal was lax. He let you just, we do whatever you want. Get to high school, no teachers miss out.
Well, I don't know what principal was there. I went through 4 or 5 different principals, so
Oh wow.
and they all had their different ways of you doing things. And Charlie didn't do that later on, but this when I first really way back in the 60s, early 70s stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He was just an intimidating looking man, like iron straight, that
Yeah,
haircut.
he was that old football coach mentality.
Looked like he cut to you. Just want to slap his side of the head. Cut that hair. Oh, sorry, sir.
Yeah, during that time, it was a lot of your administrators came out of the phys ed department, which never made much sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
But I get it. Well, we didn't do much of those questions, did we?
Well,
I mean, they're still going if we want them to.
Can we each have a blind draw?
it looks like you
Okay.
might have grabbed one.
Okay.
I got one. It's just
Okay.
kind of a fun one
Okay.
because life is a highway and all. You're cruising along the California coastal highway alone in a convertible. What song are you playing?
The California coast?
Yep. You're cruising in a convertible down the California coast. What song are you playing?
That depends on what time of day it is. but-
Okay, make up the whole thing.
Gosh.
What's California Sun?
California dreaming.
Oh, you're talking about, well, they're out there having fun in that warm California sun.
Yeah.
Going out west, out on the coast.
There you go.
I love that song.
Oh, now I got it.
Hey, baby, I walk. And I walk.
That's the one I want. That's the one I want.
I might be
If
sneaking in the
if I
backseat,
was
don't
just
know.
if I had just flown there from Virginia and I had a couple of cocktails on the plane and got in and I was with some really good friends, I'd probably play Miley Cyrus' "California Girls."
Well, she does a version of that.
Well, California Girls.
Oh, that's different.
Yeah.
Not, I wish they all could be
No, it's-
California.
I think it's Snoop Dogg that's on it.
Would that classify as a guilty pleasure song?
No, everybody knows I love Miley Cyrus.
Nice. Well, we could do a blind
Cather says L.A. Woman.
LA.
Oh,
Yeah, that's a
man.
good one.
Great driving song.
Great driving song.
What would yours
Born to be Wild.
Oh man.
Get your motor running.
Y'all wouldn't listen to some dead
Head out
song?
on the highway.
Well, you lived out there, so you probably have more songs that mean more to you. Just from people that
Oh, I don't
live out
know.
there. You don't think so?
I don't know.
My best friend, he got married and they flew to California, and they were gonna drive up the coast. What is the coast?
101.
What's the famous Big Sur? What is it? Not Big
Yeah,
Sur.
that's the Pacific Coast
Yeah,
Highway.
So they had rented this like beautiful retreat thing. So they go into L.A. or wherever they land. They rent a car, convertible, and about 20 minutes out, the alarm goes off, and they can't get it to stop. They're pulling off at gas stations and all this stuff. Nobody knows how to stop, so they drive that whole way up the coast. That alarm going the whole way.
No
He said they were like
way.
fighting. They don't even have like a day. They're like, "You're always knocking this damn thing off." They pull into every gas station. Do you know how to fix it? The guy's like, I don't know. So when they got there, they called the place they rented it from. They actually had somebody come borrow another car and took that one back, drove off with it still, the alarm still.
Oh my goodness. What a nightmare.
So he said they
Wow.
couldn't hear music or anything, just that blaring noise.
That's horrible.
We just ruined everybody's image of driving down the highway in California.
Dustin says, whenever I take a trip, I have to play "Horse with No Name" by America.
Yeah.
That's a great song. There's some lyrics that don't necessarily work on paper.
Because
Been
ain't
through the
no
desert on a horse with no name.
Because there ain't no one to give him a name.
Yes. See, what's the lyrics to that?
La, 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 la.
Hold on, I'm Googling.
I didn't know until I got America's Greatest Hits that every single song I heard growing up was by America. I was like, they did this song
Oh,
too?
right.
They did this song too? I thought there was multiple artists I heard on the radio.
Horse with No Name lyrics.
In the desert.
All right, let me read you guys a poem. This is one of my favorite poems. On the first part of the journey, I was looking at all the life. There were plants and birds and rocks and things. There was sand and hills and rings. The first thing I met was a fly with a buzz. In the sky with no clouds, the heat was hot and the ground was dry, but the air was full of sound. I've been through the desert on a horse with no name. It felt good to be out of the rain. In the desert, you can remember your name, 'cause there ain't no one for to give you no pain.
Oh, I had it all.
La 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 la
Oh,
la la
that's
la.
deep. That's deep right there.
After 2 days in the desert sun, my skin began to turn red. After 3 days in the desert fun, I was looking at a riverbed. And the story it told of a river that flowed made me sad to think it was dead. You see, I've been through the desert on a horse with no name. It felt good to be out of the rain. In the desert, you can remember your name, because there ain't no one for to give you no pain. La 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 la. Now after 9 days, I let the horse run free, because the desert had turned to sea. There were plants and birds and rocks and things. There was sand and hills and rings. The ocean is a desert with its life underground and a perfect disguise above. Under the cities lies a heart made of ground, but the humans will give no love.
Walt Whitman, 1872. Can you believe it?
La la la.
God, I was singing. I had all the lyrics wrong. I'm sorry that I embarrassed myself.
No, you were right, weren't
I thought it was I'm on the desert with a horse with no name because there ain't no one to give it a name.
Because there ain't no one there to give it a name.
Why don't you have a name? Because there ain't no one to give me no name. Come on.
Makes sense.
Boy, that song's like blowing through the jasmine in my mind, I'll tell you what.
God, see, you're taking me back. Now, see, these are guilty pleasures.
Yeah, there's a guilty
Well, that's
pleasure.
so. Those are all the CDs I've been listening to. Those ones all my dad had. Oh my God, that song's gonna be stuck with me now.
Y'all want to choose a random?
All right,
Each one
random.
choose one.
Which one?
I'll pass. Read. I'm not reading tonight.
You don't have to read it. I'll read it. No, Lex is gonna read it. You just have to pick it.
Oh, Magpie says, I saw the Beach Boys at the D.C. 4th of July thing with my family, but my first actual concert was Journey in 1984.
Oh, we're sorry.
What was Journey's? What's the Journey hit? I know we all know
they had
Don't
Journey.
Stop Believing.
They had it set up. All right, so you're reading these.
Whoops, I
You
got
can
two.
read it.
Is there a different question on both sides?
Yeah.
There is. So
Oh
take
man,
your-
it's hard to see, isn't it?
Take your pick.
I'm not gonna play.
Yeah,
I can't see.
I can't read it. Well, you took two. You have to read it. There's not enough light over here.
Okay, I'll read it.
We're gonna throw. Well, I'll get it.
Yeah, I'll pick one.
You want the orange one or the yellow one?
Yellow. Let's go yellow.
Go ahead.
And that's yours there.
Yeah.
That's side up, side.
I'm not a huge fan of the questions. They
Side
just
A or
aren't
B?
that interesting.
You're both B side. Everybody chose the B side.
We're hipsters. You come here for the. You come here for believing.
Ah.
All right,
God.
Steve. Your questions first. Category is cleaning out my closet. Are you a messy person? Do you think there's a difference between being neat and being clean? Those are two very different questions.
Whoa.
Is this music related?
This is it's no. But
Do
it's in the
they,
thing.
do they tie it into?
It looks like a record. It's on a card that looks like a record.
All right. It's really a pretty stupid question. What was it again?
Well, there's two. Are you a messy person? I guess that's a yes or no.
Yes.
Do you think there is a difference between being neat and being clean?
Yes. So,
Oh, no.
Of course.
Wait a minute, so it's not messy
Excellent.
or clean.
Good job, everyone. No.
And they don't tie it
That's
into
it.
any.
That's it.
How?
That's all we got.
How? They had one job. Come up
Yeah.
with music-related conversation starters, and that's how.
That's what we get.
That's what Lex has been sifting through over there for an hour
That's
and a
what I'm
half.
trying to say.
It's all after bands. There's like a New Zealand band called The Clean. The Neat were an LA band.
Oh, those are all band names.
Well, the name of the record on the card is Cleaning Out My Closet. I don't know that song.
Cleaning out my closet. All right, so it's not dirty or messy. It's neat or clean.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's
Neat or clean?
Yeah, do you think there's a difference between being neat and being clean?
And I said yes, because there's definitely a difference.
Yeah, I think there is too.
But I don't.
'Cause I know
I can't
people
see
that are
someone being neat and not being clean.
neat. Yeah, like think of people that are sort of a little bit off that just have to have everything in its right place. But they're dirty. They don't bathe and stuff.
I don't know that person. I've never met that person. I believe you.
I want to say something, but I can't say it.
I mean, I could see being clean and not neat, but it's hard to imagine being neat and not clean.
Well,
Wait a minute. Yeah, you do. You don't know anybody that's like really. They go to their house and everything's just like It's like they don't even really have anything. It's just like, oh, you have a picture over there, and and you have one book laying on its side, perfectly arranged. But then they're sitting there and there's cigarette smoke all over them, and
Just dust on everything. No, I can't. I can't conjure that.
Okay, so it's 2-1. There is a difference, right? You and me say there is a difference, and he says there isn't.
well, I say there's definitely a difference.
Yeah, so do I.
Can you? What?
Well, I think neat is how you want your world to be organized. You can be organized, but then not worry about how clean it is at the same time. Now, I understand what you're saying. Most people that are neat are the same. They feel the same way about the dirt. They're going to be clean too.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's theoretically, you could be neat in the way you keep your house, but not clean it because you don't see the dirt like other people do. I don't think I see the same dirt other people do.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, things could get like 1.5 inches deep before I would notice that there was something.
You have to trip over it.
Yeah.
Like, whoa! I should clean the floor.
Or lose something. If you lose something in it.
Right.
That kind of thing.
And this ties in with last week's story where he didn't think his ice maker worked for 5 years because he just stopped using it. Then his sister came and put it up. The ice came right out. He said, "Oh, you fixed it." She said, "No, I just wanted."
Yeah,
I just used it.
You're exactly right. That's the same way I feel about my broom. It's been in there. It just doesn't work. It just
It's broke.
Hey, you got the broom to work.
Yeah, same issue.
I definitely go through a cycle where I like if you look around down here, like that workbench probably looks like chaos, and it is, but like I have to establish order, and then chaos sort of blossoms, and then I have to reset like after. But it's a very important thing where I like, okay, I got to clean up everything, whatever, and then slowly over time the chaos takes back over, and then I'm like, okay, and each of those are almost like creative periods. Like there's a certain kind of creative output I have while that chaos is taking over the order I had established, and then I'm like, okay, well that record's done or whatever, and then I reestablish order and arrange everything. But I definitely take great satisfaction in things finding their place.
I love the way you described that, 'cause when you started describing it, I was thinking I do the same thing. I'll get my desk set up, and then it's almost like a garden grows in it.
Right.
And you were talking about it was a phase. I was thinking it's almost like a season.
It's a season, right?
Like all the flowers bloomed, and I cleaned it all up again. And then another season came, and same thing. You get there's like you look at it at some point when the flowers are going. You go, this is telling me I need to do some project or something. And you do it, and you get everything. Oh, now it's a mess. You get it all back together, and you start all over again. I'm glad to know you do that too.
I'm pretty sloppy and unneat. I don't do any of those things, and I'm okay. Because, I'm there alone, and I'm not trying to impress anybody, and I like to know where things are, and I like to be able to reach them without trying to get up. But other than that, I don't have a lot of rules.
Right.
I think a lot of people make up, like you're defining neat, like everything has a place and I want to put it there. And I think sometimes things just like to be where they are,
Right.
and don't need to get put back because they were there for a reason, and sometimes the floor is the easiest place to find things. I don't know.
As long as you know where it is.
But basically, I'm pretty much the laziest person I've ever met, and that's all part of it. So I am neat and I am clean, but I'm just lazy, and I don't get to it like I should.
Right.
Tomorrow, I am going to organize that desk.
I just had this image when we walked down to the park. It was you, me, and somebody. We bought that hippie tie-dye thing we were going to put on your behind your chair. Remember that? So we all walk back up. We get to his house, and he's got this nice, beautiful sit on the porch and watch everything. And he's got his chair sitting there. And before we went to the park, he was just sitting there in his chair. It looked normal. So he walked to the park. We got this big tie-dye thing, and we hung it up, and the wind was blowing. And I remember just how you looked totally different sitting there in that chair with that. And I was probably high. That thing was going like, whoo. We were all just like, oh my God. I was like, he suddenly got so much cooler.
Thank you all for being with us. It was a fun night. Good questions.
And if you're just tuning in now, you got to go back and hear the first song. Rewind this whole thing.
Oh.
Beautiful first song.
Thank you. Here's another new one. Oh, Dustin, one last quickie question. If you could master an instrument instantaneously that you never played before, what would it be? Guitar.
Well, some form of guitar, I might go for a cello or something.
Oh,
something
that
slow,
would be nice.
just to be able to. I don't really need to.
I love
I don't
picturing
really
you
need to
playing
play
cello.
bluegrass.
Gosh.
So peaceful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just on the back porch, the rabbits and all the birds are
Yeah,
just sort
that's
of like
it.
front row.
That thing blowing
They're
behind-
dashing
that
across
thing
the
blowing
lawn
behind
for his
me.
morning set, just like trying to get the front row seat.
The rabbits.
The
were-
animals are singing.
The rabbits were a great thing. The kids all saw rabbits today. Little
You got
baby-
some great rabbit
little-
action going on
yeah,
in your
the-
yard.
Everybody was excited by the rabbits today.
I've played every instrument, so I don't qualify. But piano, if I had to choose, that. Tell me a story, I'm all ears. Just take me anywhere away from here. tell me all about something you done. You can throw in dragons and magic if you want. I just want your voice to drown out all the noise. I don't care if it's true, as long as it's you. I'm like a kid with 2 cans and a string, some invisible ink, and a decoder ring. And you're not a stranger, we can talk a while. You can tell me anything, and I will only smile. I just want your voice to drown out all the noise. I don't care if it's true, as long as it's you. Spacing.
Start over. We want to hear it again.
With pencil on paper, swords are drawn. By sometime tomorrow, this will all be gone. But here in this moment, it's crystal clear. Just keep on talking, you're all I can hear. I just want your voice to drown out all the noise. I don't care if it's true, as long as it's you.
Damn.
That was a good one there.
Oh, thank you.
Gosh.
Yeah, I like that one.
Oh, good.
God.
Thank you.
Wow.
I think you could have done 2 more of those at the end. Seriously. You stopped it in a nice way and everything, but I like those last 2 lines, the true and you. I like that.
Nice.
So I'd throw another one in there.
Man. Wow, Nathan.
I love it. Thank you so much, everybody. We'll see you next time.
I love you.
If you're going away on a cruise ship, I'm just away so I can't see you anymore.
Getting smaller over the horizon.
You can get little models of him put up there on your dashboard. We've got him. He wiggles like that. He'll do that all day.
I've got tabs.
If you can still see him, that's proof the earth is flat. That's all.